Amazing. So here we are, and we have this glorious, glorious topic that we are going to delve into, explore, unpack, traverse with everyone today, which is efflorescent wealth, maximizing our capacity for infinite fortune. Yes, so delicious. And so I'd love to tune in with you first and just attune to the frequential signature of this and what this represents for you and how you experience it in your realm.
Whew, yeah, thank you for shining that light this way, because I feel like, until you're looking at it, sometimes it can elude us. And yeah, in this moment, I love how you included the luminosity element in there, because expansion without measure is what I feel about it. And I think that we have been inside a lot of measured systems for a long time, and to truly flow outside of those to a place that our heart is feeling all the delight and nourishment that we can bring to it and bring through it to this maximized existence that we're attuning to every day. Just the liberty that it affords, the self-awareness that affords, the potentiality that it affords, and just an affirmation of our divine embodiment is really what it is for me. Yeah.
Like, ding. So delicious. Yes. Oh, so I'm curious, in your own personal capacity expansion, how do you create spaciousness to house the fullness of all that you are?
I love that this is coming in this precise moment. I feel that the past couple of weeks has really made more space to be in trust for me. And the play of that has been really profound, because I can watch myself in an old habit or an old thought or an old reaction or any of those things, and to just be embodied in the delight and relaxation that I have been in as of late. I was in a pretty wild state just 2 nights ago, where I was just laughing and crying simultaneously at just noticing the capacity shift that I had achieved. And it was like I had reflected on my day of a lot of I don't want to call them tests, but mirrors that showed up, okay, checking your attunement in this moment.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still attuned. Okay. Oh, checking your attunement in this moment. Still attuned. And then by the end of the day, I had just surprised myself so many times that I had felt that mastery.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things so I want to delve into a few different things here. So one being, and I took a couple notes. I don't really I know if I require them, likely not. With some of the facets of this that I want to delve into, and where is it? Yeah, it's not even here. So this is great. Okay, so I don't need it. Amazing. So I want to just tune into the notion of efflorescent wealth and what this is, because we assign different meanings and different values as to what wealth is for us in this experience. And it's so multidimensional what it is in truth. And for me, it is the richness and divine decadence of pure, benevolent, luminous, resonant love, and the treasure trove of wisdom, revelation, epiphany, self-realization that comes with that quintessential substance of super conscious awareness and free energy flow, when we open our vessel wide to allow the fullness of our I am presence to enter into our body, when we lean back and we allow ourselves to be fully saturated, penetrated, submerged, absorbed into that field, we literally not only begin to deeply encode ourselves with that wealth, that truest synthesis of source intelligence, when we create the spaciousness, our DNA actually expands and releases light intelligence and light information from the DNA, which reveals its epiphany into the true nature of self to our conscious mind. So it's not only are we opening to welcome and receive it from the fullness of life, of creation, of reality, of people, of all that is, but we're also liberating our own deepest, most pristine potentiality and power from our genius DNA codex. So we become these diamond vessels of pure wealth, pure prosperity, pure super abundance. And then, well, the maximization is really knowing that we get to lean back and receive it, that we don't have to go out into the world to try to get or acquire or any of this. We lean back and drink from the wellspring. It's just sitting at the throne of destiny. I am that I am that I am. And I invite all of me as the pure reflection of me in. So it obliterates fear. It opens us into spaces of boundlessness. And then we just shine that light forth through our creative emanation, our expression, our love, our heart, song, symphony, resonance, and our masterworks in this world. And it must echo back to us. It must mirror back. So really it's, this reception of all that we be, and then the emanation of all that we be, and wealth then in the form of money, cash, opulence, prosperity, all of that will automatically, as a byproduct, reflect itself prolifically in our realm. So it just really simplifies everything to its quintessential, most potent, immaculate essence in nature.
Oh, sorry. Everything stopped for a moment, but that was like a really beautiful moment because I was kind of stuck in this interdimensional moment where it's like the physical parts are a mirror of the opening that we have done. And it's just so beautiful because we can be in the wealth of our own self-awareness as the wealth of the physical dimension comes to meet us there. Like that's just such a romantic moment to think of. Our only responsibility is to attune to, embody, and resonate deeply into the wealth of the awareness of the I am that I am. And then while we're swimming in that ocean is while the physical world is coming to meet us. I think that that's such a great romance. It's like that meet cute romance.
Yes, it's the ultimate romance. It's the dance, the lover and the beloved, the hero's gamos. We're always in this dance with our, the symbology of our subconscious mind. So when we're calibrated and attuned to that orchestral symphony of life, of love, of divinity, it has no choice by virtue of quantum physics but to reflect itself. So it's all this internal encoding that we do. And so it's establishing intimacy with the nature, with our true nature, with love's true nature. And as we cultivate that deep intimacy with truth, until that is all that remains in our vessel. And it's okay if it's not all that remains in the moments where we have, patterning that comes up. That's just an opportunity to deepen into it at an even richer, greater level. We get to receive our own empathy and compassion from the observational awareness of our I am present. So we're always expanding into more and more of who and what we truly are.
Yes. I'd love to mention just from a kind of eagle eye view, just the medicinal nature of welcoming this opulence is in so many ways, it just has such a deep and profound healing on humanity to reunite with an attunement to fitting inside a divine matrix of Gaia. And I think that, we are also taking hold back all of the energetic resources of the field that are by nature divine. And we are returning them to that awareness through the practice of diving in and saying, okay, and this is part of us, and this is who we are. We are divinely gifted, sourced people. And so I love the medicine that is, both to our own awareness, as well as to the awareness of how we can shift that vibration in our world. We can shift the vibration in the favor of returning to its true nature, which is being provided for by the divine.
Yes. And even at a greater scale, it's like us providing for ourselves. It's true self-reliance. So Rumi has a quote, what is it? Everything in the universe is within you. Ask all from yourself. So it's really opening to allow the wider self, the expansionary self, to bring things to us. So we're the only ones who are ever deciding whether or not we're going to allow ourselves to have the opulent wealth and quality, premium, maximum quality of life that is available to us. And we have to practice these perceptual frames to such a degree that they become somatically encoded in our body, and then we know it through direct felt perception, because the only way to actually code the subconscious mind is through feeling. It is directly through feeling states, and the perceptual awareness is what allows for the feeling to land in the soils of our body and to become our way of being. So these practices are essential, and then they become a way of life, right? Because these are our paintbrushes and our intertechnologies of quantum reality design. And when we become intimate with the field, because the field is all that is, and we're literally saturated in this super symmetrical quantum toroidal flower of life that is pulsing its heartbeat and dancing. And that's the dance, the Eros Gamos, the in, the out, the in breath, the out breath, and when we know that we're literally landed and immersed in the body of God, and that prosperity is all that is, love is all that is, safety, trust, joy, that is all that really is. And we become so deeply just self-aware and self-attuned and intimate with that. It has to reflect. So, we speak into this often, but it's our imaginal landscape. So consciousness and felt sensation shapes reality. Reality unto itself is a neutral and blank canvas, and it is the quintessential substance is waiting for us to give it shape and form. And we do that with our consciousness, our perceptual landscape, our spotlight of awareness and attention. And I like to say our imaginal garden, because there's so much more animated life and vividness and vibrancy in that space. Because we all know how to imagine, we're just epic grand kids at heart. And we all know how to imagine. We exercise the fortress of our imagination, and we really augment it and bring it to life. And we start to feel the splendor of our own imaginal tapestry, and with the knowing and the recognition that it will be our reality. It literally has no choice but to become that. This whole game gets so fun. It's like, so we're going to go daydream right now.
Absolutely. And I want to just bring that fun into the reminder of when people are forgetting. Like, if you have forgotten your connection to source, your wealth, your prosperity, if you have felt that you have shifted out of accessing it, feeling it, knowing it, being it, I feel the simplest way to return to it is to forgive yourself for having forgotten and recognize something bigger is coming to expand you in its place. And it's that easy. I think that when we get stuck in that moment, and we extrapolate it out as some kind of like attunement that needs to be arduous and, complex and like all of those things, we're missing the part that we're just changing octaves, as you say, right?
Yep, that's it. We're just shifting resonance. So it's a literal frequential shift. That's it. And that happens in an instant, in a moment, in the now. We can immediately attune ourselves. All we have to do is pivot and then release ourselves. This is where the glory of, forgiveness, even the definition of forgiveness really literally means to come back into harmonic accord. It means to come into resonance. So it's not even a mental game.
Yeah.
It's
amazing. I love that.
Yeah. It's how do I just come back into the coherency of my heart and my embodiment with divine love. And immediately there's the forgiveness. You have now just altered your entire world, your entire reality, all of the beautiful sacred beings and circumstances within it. And then from that space, like opening into the infinite grand wellspring of infinite love, infinite prosperity, infinite energy, infinite resources. It is infinite. It is not finite. There is zero limitation to how much we can crystallize. And the glory is our reality is only limited by the capacity of our own imagination, which is profound. It is so profound. If we envision it and intensify the felt resonance of it in our body, it literally has to manifest. We are so infinite. There are no bounds.
Love that. We are no bounds. I mean, it's literally like I want to make a t-shirt that just says "Don't panic," because there's so much newness in the expansion that sometimes people will like clench down and they have that moment of panic. But the simplicity of it is, don't panic. You're meeting more of you, and more of you is coming to you. And so it's just like lean into the mystery. Like, I'm about to have an upgrade, and then like meet it like in its newness, and just watch it amaze you, because in panic comes a dissonance of energy that's not serving the process, but in just curiosity and that feeling and connection to the pure safety and the wonder of what's to come is what amplifies it.
Yes.
And acknowledges existence.
Yes, precisely. Mm-hmm. And I love that you're speaking into wonder, and also in those moments, because heyo, I have most certainly been there. I experienced just a whole saga of sequential catalytic experiences that were by no means pleasant or easy, and brought me to, and this also brought you to the edge of your actual physical existence in this body. And so I had to learn in very intense scenarios. I didn't get to learn this in the safety and the comfort of a home or being resourced. I got to learn this when I didn't have any of that, when I didn't know where I was going to sleep or how I was going to eat. And so the depth of visceral trauma that was in my body that I had to really learn how to shift in those moments back into trust was learned at these deep edges. And so I learned how to parent myself, how to mother and father myself. So in those moments of sheer panic, I would just I would press love into my body. Like, I would hold myself and I love you. I am here for you. I am not going anywhere. Life is here for you. You are sacred. You are cherished. You are chosen, valued, treasured, adored, respected, loved. And I really gave that to myself until my serenity system came back into rich, warm, vital accord with that knowingness. And then from that space, I began to welcome a new reality, a new perception that was in congruence with truth, and versus but I had to really learn how to, when those moments arose, be deeply, deeply tender with myself and actually mother and nurture myself back into those spaces. And then it's really about driving the momentum in a new direction as swiftly as possible. So coming into coherency and then amplifying powerfully the new momentum. And the more rapid we can do that, the more rapid the results crystallize. So it's the stronger the sensation in your body of you feeling that new reality, the closer it is to manifesting. So it's really about feeling the power of your vision as true, as real. And the more strong that sensation is, it's like, it's just it's a twirl away, right? It's just a synchronicity, a twirl, a meeting, a moment from the full physicalized materialization.
Yeah. For some reason, the energy of surprise is coming up right now to just recognize what that feeling is, because I think a lot of the journey does hold surprise to an extent. And at the same time, there's a reason why it should not. It's like we're connected to the vibration, we're creating the vibration, and we have a deep bond and awareness of, what we're within, what's to come, what we can attune to. But I love that there is still somewhat an element of surprise at times. And I think that that's part of what we've been talking about how we don't know the how. Yeah. And that's what keeps things exciting in the game of creation.
Yes. It's like, and that's again with the wonderment and the curiosity and the surprise, where it's like, okay, I know what I'm architecting. Some of it's here, some of it's not here, like amazing. It's all happening anyway. It's all happening. Like that's a beautiful code that I have, like in the in-between spaces where everything's orchestrating as a sacred self-reminder. It's happening. It must. But the knowingness that everything is perfect now in my frame. So being in the wonderment of the heart of the child, I'm like, ooh, like I'm so curious how this is going to show up. Like I'm excited to see how this shows up. And it's framing things from the space of wonderment, of curiosity, of surprise. And that was the piece I wanted to connect into with what you were sharing previously with the wonderment, as we welcome in the awe-striking magnitude of our power and what it is that we're actually ushering into our experience, instead of shutting down our energetics, which is so common. We can do that because we start to feel the electrical life force, that's coming for us and all the magnificence. So it's like, oh, wait, let me close down my energy centers. Instead of doing that, it's learning how to frame things, because fear and wonder, fear and awe are actually the same vibration on different ends of the spectrum, and we experience it as either fear or awe, contingent upon our perceptual frame around what is unfolding. So if we can shift the frame into, this feeling must mean that there's massive, massive beauty and majesty and love on its way, and we can really redirect ourselves in that way perpetually until we know it, then we start to live in the wonder.
Well, let's pause in the profoundness of that, because I think that is the ultimate tool to retraining one's subconscious. Always, always, always. If awe and fear are on the same spectrum and all I have to do is attune it, that changes everything. It's not just about attuning to lack or wealth or prosperity. It can be that same code for any and all things in one's life. And that is also attuning to what I recognize as truth. Is if my truth is in trust and my truth is in attunement to the divine, I am always attuned to awe.
Yes.
And I live outside of fear.
Yes. And that is the training of the mind, is to actually literally embody the neural constellations of divine mind. So I have an entire super genius power belief codex, which is essentially the thoughts of God. It is the mind of God. So when we get into, and we don't even need to have a story around it, that I find that is what happens for me in my experience. If I have an old subconscious pattern come up, I usually just experience it in my visceral sensorial body. And then I become aware of it. And I go, okay, well, so now I just need to shift resonance in this moment instead of getting into the fear. And I don't even need to know what the story is. I'm just going to nurture this part of myself right now to bring it into integrity with truth.
Yeah.
But then I start to look at, okay, well, there's many ways that we could frame the opposite of what those sensations of fear is, which is simply separation and fragmentation from self, and duality. It's all of that. And how do I come back into wholeness, perfection, resonance, celebration, knowingness, empowerment, inspiration, passion, vitality? And those are all codes. Those are all codes of the divine. So what is there for me to celebrate in this moment? Or actually, how can I deeply nourish myself by putting on some like luscious, relaxing, heartwarming piano music and instrumentals that's going to soothe my system and calm my system back into coherency? And then, you know, go into the graduation of that scale. You know, you don't want to go from one extreme to the other extreme, because that's probably not going to feel great in your system. But how can you at least get to soothe, or not at least, but with joyous delight? How can you? How can you, or with just gentleness, move into a space of salve and soothing and calm, so that then you can accelerate the frequency back into the, you know, the deep, rich, primal vitality that is accessible to us in our joyous heart and divinity.
I love what you're describing right now, because you're just really kind of asking your universe, well, what things will remind me of myself? Well, soothing music will remind me of myself. Like juicy things that, you know, make me aware of my body will remind me of myself. Like we're just remembering ourself, our truest self in that moment. And so when we surround ourselves with the reminders of ourselves, they are what helps us remember.
Yes. And I love this too, because this is such a potent way to ignite the full potential of our beingness and embody it and live it all the way through. And its most authentic, delectable emanation is to do more of all the glorious things that help us to feel like who we truly are. And then really our greatest service is to simply be uninhibited, unencumbered, all of who we truly are. And so the more that we surround ourselves by those delights and those joys, and, you know, the actual physicalized experiences, the relationships, the adventures, the travel, the flowers, the candles, the crystals, the, you know, whatever it does it for us, whatever turns us on, that helps us feel like who we truly are when we're connected to our full power.
Right.
Those are the most, I feel, glorious practices, rituals, ceremonies, just ways of life that we can architect in that would serve us most optimally.
And you're also talking about a great point of entry for people who don't have deep self-awareness yet, is to look at the world outside of yourself and start to notice the things that you love, you enjoy, that bring you joy. And then you will start to have more informa about what you are, and that will bring you into your own personal awareness of yourself in the divine. I think that a lot of people feel the labor of going into deep self-inquiry, and that can scare them themselves, you know? But when we start in places that bring comfort, it's a great point of entry into receiving those reflections that the satiation of these things are providing. And then it allows us to open to that same mirrored aspect within ourselves.
That's so beautiful. It's like what I'm just seeing too is becoming deeply attuned to what we love, being immersed in like oceanic landscapes and pristine mountaintops, and reading books by the fire, making love, like whatever it is that we, you know, becoming intimate with that mean, we can become aware of
Mm-hmm.
what we don't want, but we're always also in a process of discovering more of what that is and becoming more
Right.
attuned. It's like, oh, well, this week I thought that this was like my super anchored belief about who I am and what I desire and the way I want to live my life. And this week, I have this whole new expansionary perspective that is attuning to me to like an even greater depth of who I be and what I value and what holds meaning for me and what I actually desire in this moment,
Yes.
in
Yes.
this now, in this phase. And yeah, just allowing ourselves to expand into an even greater, more prolific quality of life always, and discovering more of who we are and what we
Yes.
desire to, living life as if the whole thing is our bucket list.
Yes. And I love that this is kind of bringing it back to how we entered into the conversation in the first place was it's about building self-awareness, but by following your bliss is why following your bliss is such a great tool in manifestation because you're following your bliss into yourself,
Yes.
into that awareness.
Yes. And I
Mm-hmm.
actually want to preface that with following your wholesome, holistic bliss. And I only say that because everybody, this is per individual, what really truly deeply resonates with us and what doesn't. But when we are attuned to that which is holistic and pure and connected to nature, we actually give ourselves the opportunity to experience our truest, optimal
Mm-hmm.
quality of life. And if we're, the quick fix, the temporary hit, that never is soul satiating. Ever.
I love that you're mentioning that because I think that draws light to the dissonance between how society has structured bliss and how naturally, since the dawn of time, bliss was experienced in those long journeys, in those, epic discoveries, in, learning new things, experiencing new things, which evolve over time. As you're saying, that is more our natural state, but was society that had shifted that into that more instant gratification. Definitely.
Right. Yeah. And that's another great way to look at what we're investing in too. What we're investing our energy, our attention, our consciousness, our resources, our time, our devotion, all of that into. And, for me, uniquely in my experience, what I have found that has created such potent diamond laser sharp clarity in my realm is my knowingness that I am actually only invested in that which is directly in service to the long game of my life. That which is going to bear fruit for the lifetime, that which is solid, devotional, committed, fun, inspiring, expansionary. And I know that what I'm investing in is going to bear massive harvest through time. It's not just something that I'm investing in that's going to flutter away, in the next season.
I mean, you're touching into one of my 7 lenses, and it's legacy. It's legacy. It's what is the vibration that I am birthing into Earth consciousness. And I think all of those things that you're talking about are related to that birth of our individual vibration into this consciousness. And I think that is the highest celebration of being a divine being, a divine creator. And it's the highest celebration of our capacity to witness the biggest expansion that we can embody as well. Yeah.
Yes. And to really actually bear witness to the full fruition of potentiality.
Yeah.
Instead of just tapping the iceberg and then shift, and just really accessing only the outer layers of what is actually possible in any given space, but to really get to the heart and the juice and the nectar and the core of what can really be birthed. And that's time. That's love banking, baby. That's not just climax to climax to climax. That is love making in its richness, its fullness, its sweltering hot, sultry, sacred, pure, sanctified, deepest spaces.
It's the code of genius.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went into a deep dive about the nature of genius for quite some time to just really like attune to how it embodies here. Where does it come from? What is the construct of the universe that has to open to allow genius to be born? And it goes into that void energy. It goes into living outside of any preconceived belief, idea, system, practice. It's complete liberation from any and all matrices, so that you can just listen into this energy that we're talking about, where you're touching into your legacy, you're touching into your genius just by diving into the ocean of space, the space of us, the ether essence, and meeting whatever might come.
Yes. From that core of fidelity, like true fidelity. Yes. Oh my glory. I could just swoon over genius. Like just, when I connect with myself and I'm having dialogue with my expanded me, the quantum field, I'm like, okay, super miraculous genius. We just delve in like best friends and I have dialogue with the field. And it's just such a rich, golden, luminous, it's ineffable.
Yeah, absolutely. I just had this visualization of people think that you need to stand upon something in order to create. But in reality, I feel the energy of like being held in the vacuum and letting your genius be held in the vacuum. And it's always in nature, when space is created, it has to be filled. And so you create that vacuum for your genius. It will be filled with your genius.
Yes, precisely. And that's the process of expansion from octave, when we expand from, because we carry the code of, the seed, and then it goes into the fruit, and then it goes ultimately into the flower, and it's pulsing, and we carry the wisdom and intelligence encoded in all of those octaves. And the more we expand, the more we gain that eagle-eyed view, because we synthesize the previous octave. So now we have the wisdom of this octave of awareness as well as this one, and that's infinite. And we, as we're birthing new light into the body, that's where we enter the void. And it's such a sacred space of engendering fertility and pollination. We always come out more luminous. And so it's, the way I experience it is being one rich, lustrous, solid, integral, united field of golden light, being the solar gods and goddesses, aurora borealises of creation, of the field. We just are that. And everything we create actually just comes from our core of being that solid in here, integral in here, and also, quote, out here, the extension of us, knowing that this is all that too. And it just, in the void, it comes into a deeper, richer integrity that is unfaltering, invincible, sovereign, autonomous, free.
Yes. It's like the Big Bang, we just all of a sudden combust into everything that is and ever will be. And just the energetic of that feeling of the deep compression, retraction, trust, just imbibing all of the heart into an infinite explosion is definitely the energy of that birthing, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, it's so beautiful. Yes. So wherever you are and wherever you be, I invite you to relax richly into the luminous, sapphire, sparkling dream field of infinite potentiality and possibility, and dream your most iconic, vibrant, vivid, marvel-rich dream within the actualized dream itself. To be thriving in the body of God, of paradise, of nirvana, now as the quantum field that courses its intelligence through all life, all nature, all that is, it is all that is And from that foundational awareness that we are the dream awake, begin to dream your most limitless, joy rich, healthy, wealthy, happy, prosperous, liberated, expansionary, romantic, adventurous, all the beautiful descriptors that apply uniquely to you.
Yes. And do it for you.
Yes.
Do it for all of us, because we will get to witness your majesty. Do it to honor the divine that you are and we all are. And also do it just simply because it's our birthright.
Yeah. And our purpose, you know, the purpose of life is the expansion, is the realization of infinite potential, the realization of infinite potentials and possibilities in the proliferation of life intelligence. That is it. To constantly experience more of who and what we are, and to maximize our quality of life. And to have a ball in the process.
That's the efflorescence. You just said it right there. Efflorescence was exactly that moment. It's just
emergent light.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it. I combined with that one efflorescence and fluorescence. So the efflorescence being the emergent nature of creation, and fluorescence being that united auroric field of pure golden solar energy, and to be both in simultaneity with one another. I mean, we are wealth. You know, it's like we are that. It's not some separate, it's not a separate thing. So when we know that we're the wealth, we know that we're the value, we know that we're the living substance and prosperity of love, of life, of divinity, and we're so richly embodied in the knowing and sensation of that, it has to show up in the form of all the, you know, and it's like it shows up in so many ways that just like the money is magnificent because it allows for freedom of choice and experience and creation and expression. It's such a gorgeous facet. And there's infinite other ways that it mirrors and reflects and refracts and presents itself to us on a moment-to-moment continuum in our reality that are just like I'm just feeling like the warmth of orgasmic ecstasy in my solar plexus now, just thinking about the beautiful connections that I share with people, the love, the romance, the gifts, the experiences of being submerged in the heart field with other beings, and all the ways that energy that just engenders the totality of our landscape. It's just infinite, the ways that it mystifies and delights and surprises and mesmerizes. You know, it's just it abounds.
You're speaking about the wealth of the richness of humanity, and that is like my greatest love. My greatest love is the wealth of the richness of humanity. We are just so deliciously rich in beauty, in love, in creativity, in articulation, all the things that we are. We're just so rich in diversity, and it's cannot be summarized. It is that infinite emanation, and what we understand it's possible of now is only growing, and that's the purest and most joyful excitement of all things in life.
Glorious, 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 multi-prismatic, jewel-toned, glass-stained tapestry of infinite exotic genius intelligence emerging. It's just profound what we are and what we have the capacity to imagineer into being.
Yeah, in a way, I'm like just feeling like this simple call, like, let us see you. And in a way, it's allowing us to be you, because we are in the collective field. We can see you, and in every way, we are also being you through you. And that is so enthralling way to just deepen this bond in humanity is please let us see you so we can be you and only you. And that's what we're all here doing.
It's like this archetypal mythic lovemaking. I'm seeing where it's just like we're just reflecting and and like really merging with each other and seeing all of the archetypal facets come to life and and discovering more of our own true nature through one another constantly.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite clues to just increase compassion for individuals, is to just know that everybody is absolutely doing the best that they can ever do in any moment without question. And it's all the assemblage of their experiences, and their experiences are their own. And that is my deepest love and entry point for people to really meet that compassion, because we are all in perfection in the unique way that we've been coded in our experiences. And that is only gifting transmutation to the field of the collective, to the divine in its infinite remembering. Mm-hmm.
You're so brilliant. I love it when you riff on compassion, because you're just so there. It's like the knowing of what truth is and the realization that any behavior or
everything,
and even anything that's stemming from a space of dissonance is simply because a being is not fully in resonant accord and awareness and felt knowing of the love that they are. So it's like seeing through to the heart of the child and just realizing that all of that. And I also had to learn this through very intense situations where I had to forgive beings who, and I remember, I'm going to share the story about my father. I love you, Dad. We're like best friends now, me and my family. We have been through it, and we moved through it. We moved through it with one another in devotion to love, and going in devotion, each of us in our own unique way, becoming the most powerful beacons that we can be, and creating resolve in our family. But I remember one day there was a lot of volatility and physical violence and abuse in my life for the greater part of my life. Up until 25 was the last altercation that we had, and it was deeply intense. And I remember one day standing in the kitchen, and I was just, a ferocity of anger that is indescribable coming towards me. And in that moment, it was the first time that I had transcended my own triggers and my own reactive patterns. And I was such an open space, and all I could see through this anger that was being just violently projected at me was a small child with eyes filled with tears, screaming, "Hear me, love me, see me." And I could cry now thinking about that moment, because I can still see his eyes. And I had such a profound realization. That's all that's ever going on with anyone at the core.
Yep. Yes. Yes.
And it just burst such a deep, all-enveloping compassion in my being, because now there's that foundation of truth. And if it's not presented in that resonant field, it's because it is so deeply desiring to experience the resonance of its own being. And we get to be vessels who personify and exemplify that resonance so that those beings can remember.
Yes. And that's exactly what is occurring when people work in the quantum field for healing. Is they are literally delivering that same message to themselves. They are finding that part of themselves that wasn't heard when they were feeling something. They're connecting with that part of themselves that hasn't, met and cleared something that is within their body. And that's all that we're doing when we're working in the quantum field, is we're just bringing the light, awareness, attunement, and connection to the divine that we have now into a moment where it wasn't there and we needed it really badly. Yes. And that's the simplicity and beauty of that work, is just as you had that realization within yourself as well as within your father in that moment of both of those beings just needing to be seen and heard and connected and aware. It's the the same work in everything that we're doing with each other, with ourselves, and with our divine understanding, our understanding of ourselves as the divine.
Yes.
Same.
That's it. It's like we just might have titled that The Work, because that is the work. It's like bringing the solidity of love to the instability within our being. And that journey and that unfurling is perfect in its wholeness for each and every one of us, because we have such a diverse array of experiences that have led us to our now moment. And the timing of our body is in perfection. It is in perfection. Yes. So to trust what our body intelligence, and that's exactly how it happens. It's literally by feeding and fueling our own vessels with that true pure love directly from the quantum. And that's the work until we become fully, wholly integrated beings of absolute remembrance.
And just to make sure that people start to spread the right message to those who say, I could have done better in whatever moment, it's an absolute fact that you could not have done anything any differently in any moment. And let's just start sharing that in its truth. Yes. There is a person that you were in that moment that absolutely did the best you could do with what you had. You couldn't have even fathomed the other thing that you might later fathom, because you weren't the same person in the time that it was happening.
Exactly.
Fact. Forgive yourself for it. Know it. Own it. See it. When you're looking at other people, we are all always doing the best in our perfection that we can in absolutely any and all every moments. And just start speaking it, because I'm tired of this old story about I could have done better.
Yes.
Because you absolutely could not have. So let's get out of that illusion.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Like blazing arrow of flaming divinity to the heart. That's at that, because how hard are we on ourselves? Or I wish I would have, or I could have, or if I could go.
All the things.
It's all perfect. It is all perfect. It is all perfect. Know this. Yeah. Remind yourself of this. For your journey, for others' journey, for the expansionary impulse of life itself, like it is all absolutely, exquisitely, divinely perfect. Trust that and find the gold in the contextual centering of that awareness. Find the gems, find the jewels, find the gold, find the wisdom, find the treasure. That's yes. Thank you for that. That's so powerful. And how often I could have done better, or you could have done better. They could be doing better. So I hear you a million %.
I'm creating this war on earth idioms, and this is one of them. I could have done better. This is one of those earth idioms I'm like ready to just destroy. And then the other one that I kind of riff on all the time is too good to be true. I want that idiom to just blow up and leave the earth plane, because everything could be as good and is true or better.
That's my domain. When you come into my field,
I know.
You will only enter into the surrealist, idyllic realms of beyond too good to be true. Like that's the only space that we ought to be even traversing. Too good to be true. Yeah. That's a self-limiting, illusory construct if I've ever heard.
I know. I'm ready to wipe that off the face of the earth.
Let's just dissolve it into infinite, quintessential love, beauty, wealth, prosperity, magnetism.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Yes.
You and I experience that every day. I don't know the last time you or I ever felt that too good to be true. I haven't felt that forever.
I know. No. I mean, that's just such a self-imposed limiting construct. Why would you ever? Because now you're like, I don't trust my creation. And you shut yourself down to receive it. It's like I'm withholding my own love from my own self. Why? Let's not do that, please.
It's okay. I forgive myself if I've ever said that at any time in my life. And thank you to this current self for reminding me that it's just so far from any kind of truth.
Oh, absolutely. It's just our own trepidations and our own fears around trusting that everything that's presenting to us is in fact source, is in fact our I am presence, is in fact the love that we are. And so what we're really combating are our own consciousness, subconscious constructs of fear and limitation, that we would withhold our own love or even perceive a simulation where something could harm us in any way. So let us just tenderly dissolve those into celestial sustenance for the soul.
So it is.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't have to do that. These are just, I almost even feel like they're just habituated encodements. And there's a lot of people just adopt it and don't really even, it's habituated. What does that even mean? What does that mean for
the
you?
habits? I just like flick off the earth plane. I'm like, oh, there's something great to, like for me, it's that easy. I just see it and I'm like, oh, that's old, next old. And then it's great because there's a new landscape and I can make something juicy on there. It's so good that it's true. Yes, it is.
I just consume it for fuel. I'm like a little Pac-Man. I'm like, it's a little jewel that I get to synthesize and alchemize into gold. Yes, baby. Yes, please.
I love how we always go into play in our time that we share together, because it is that easy. I love that we always have this joyful lightness and beauty that we create together, because this is the place that we live, and it's only up and up and all everywhere at the same time.
Yes. And that's it. It's like the top hat and the magical wand. Yes, I will have a customized wand. It sprays rainbow glitter. It is abracadabra. It is that easy. When we know and we let go immediately, it's just abracadabra. Like, this is what it is. This is what I'm coding in. This is what I'm architecting. And we are the infinite I am source of our creation, meaning the only rule is the resonance is the resonance of one love. That's that is the only law of creation. Outside of that, you determine the meanings, you determine how things come to you, how things show up, how you're architecting your landscape. You don't have to fit the way that you create into all these ways that people tell us that we have to create. You've got to be this, you've got to do this, you've got to like stand on your hands and do 10 push-ups and then you can have your dream. It's like the recollection that we are God and that our consciousness is creating our landscape, so we get to determine. And we were just talking about this, of course, again the other day. Every time I put on my shoes, I make 10 grand.
Yes. That's why I want to like talk about the party of the abracadabra in the Infinity Collective, because to those who gather there, they believe in each moment in the abracadabra. And when we've cleaned the slate of all of these other things that we're talking about, which is what you and I do on the regular, and all the beautiful hearts that are gathering there, then we're creating on top of that. That's the clean canvas, is the abracadabra space. And then our imagination gets to go even broader than that. And I feel like that's like what we're doing together inside that beautiful soiree.
Yes. And so before we complete this glorious decadent conversation today, we would love to invite you to come play with us in the sacred global social sanctuary that we have designed for you to be in the fullness of your exotic brilliance, your power, your genius, your expression, in a safe, immaculate haven that gives you all of the gorgeous features of traditional social media platforms, but in a much more clean, elegant, simplistic way, where you can express yourself. You can build, and this is one of the features that I actually love about the space. You receive all the glorious bonus gifts, but let's just get to the heart of the matter. You get to connect with people who are local to you and build really deep, meaningful, rich relationships. You get to connect with people globally and internationally and build those relationships. You get to share your legacy, your service, your retreats, your wisdom, your mastery in this space while being absolutely celebrated, upheld, empowered, ignited, expanded. There's just such a depth of potential and possibility in the space for growing relationships, connection, expression, service, mastery, all of it. And I am so devoted to providing value that is absolutely unprecedented. And I say that with absolute love.
Yes.
It is the depth of value that I provide, especially when you allow yourself to absorb it, to saturate it, and to implement it in your life, is literally unprecedented that I give in that space, and that we give through our transmissions in that space, and the courses that are coming, and the brainwave entrainment technology, all the tools you can possibly require. I mean, I mama bear that space up.
She does. That's her coding to the nth degree.
Yes. I'm going to care for life. I'm going to care for all that is. Like I would care for my child with that depth of quality presence, love, and devotion, and actual physical support with what it requires to then crystallize and actualize our dreams and our legacies in a more practical, tactical sense. So from the quantum to the physical and all the way through. So,
and also, we don't even know how far it could go. This is going into that legacy landscape because we are here in this moment creating with this awareness that we have now. And the long-term goal that we were talking about earlier is unimaginable at this state because we are going to exceed the understanding of what's possible right now over and over and over again and together.
Yes. And
that's the most exciting part to me. That doesn't live in a container of a 3-day intensive. It doesn't live in a container of a week-long retreat. It lives in a community that is long lasting. And that's like really enthralling to me because I feel more open to invest my heart into something that I know I can continue to provide rewards in and will continue to reward me as well.
Yes. Yes, exactly. It's a symbiotic, evolutionary, involutionary, ever evolving, thriving space. And I can tell you exactly what it's going to become. All the social media platforms that currently exist in the world, there will be a brand new world platform that is in coherency with divine truth, will, love, life maximization, an actual truly integrally curated and sustained and proliferated platform for all of us to gather in integral divinity. That is exactly what this is evolving to. So we're just right at the, we're just taking the first lick of the ice cream on the ice cream cone.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
Kind of getting goosebumps because I think it's a lot of things that people have been looking for a long time. That community element is sincerely really what we're wanting as we meet our divine selves. We get the opportunity to meet all the divine selves. And it fills my heart to just know that the vulnerability can be present here in the divine protection that is there as well. So, yeah.
Yes. Thank you. I love you so much and I love us so much, and thank you. Oh, glorious, beloved hearts. I love us. I love us all so much. And I'm so grateful. I'm just so grateful. I'm so freaking grateful for love and the love that we are and the love that we share. It's just, that's the goal.
Yeah. Thank you to all of you for being all that you are and bringing that into the field. Yes.
Well, we are enthralled and delighted to connect with you all soon. Take exquisite, excellent care. Mwah.